Boom, boom, boom. Look at this. Look at that little crack in my. Look at that. Ain't that something? I'm marred for life. Ain't that? Can't believe that. It's getting better and better and better every day. I'm actually able to lay on it pretty much. Welcome. Good morning, you guys. Yeah, it's getting pushed towards the afternoon time, but I just want to say, Jesus, you guys, can we get more on about this death business? You know, I thought we stumbled across some pretty cool stuff in our readings. But every time I open the Bible, something really cool pops out. And I've been going along the lines of teaching you how Earth is this hell, and that there is no other place to go to. There isn't this place out there where you say, your Father's kingdom has many houses for you to go to. Well, those are all those different zodiac signs of the different houses. But basically, when it comes down to it, there is no heaven. All right. All we have is this thing that they call Sheol. Sheol. All right. That's earth. All right. Hell. That's what that is. All right. And there isn't any way out of it. The only way to get out of this place is to die. And I'm thinking, because there's no real heaven out there, it says that the righteous and the wicked have to come here. There's no other place. So righteous are people that can raise above hell and overcome hell by raising their chakra system and evicting hell out of their own special little kingdom. And when we do this, bringing on this little connection with God, Mother and Father, does this put a bridle on what would be an unclean spirit and turned it into a controlled mind, a mind that is not free to roam like crazy, or free-range chickens. They are now under some sort of counsel and control, and this sparks open the right and left side of the brain, whereas basically before you're just working off of half a mind. So everything to do with the half a mind is going to bring out the devil in you, one way, shape, form. But that's the way it's supposed to be. So when we get to this idea that Jesus, he went over to another shore and he ran across some guy, Legion. He's running around naked. See, this is how you know that this is in some kind of meditation situation, is because they're naked, they ain't got the clothes on. And so what happens is, he has broken his chains. He has this Sheol guy. You can't control this guy. He's an unclean spirit. He's out there living amongst the graves, in the cracks of the rocks and stuff like that, day in and day out, day in, night and day. That's what it is. That's someone that's totally consumed in death. This is when your idea that you have made your home in darkness. And that's the whole idea behind being separated from God, is boom, there you go. Well, Jesus tells them, listen, dude, who are you? He introduces himself as legions, because for we are many. And in the process of that, you'll find that there's a number system involved that represents this lower mind. And so when he had gotten these 2,000 demons to come together, and he tossed them into some swine that's on the side of the mountain, Well, when you're in meditation, you're on the side of the mountain, you know. And so what happens is he took the left side of the brain, threw it into all these swines, and then the swines ran into the water. Well, they were told they didn't want to. Oh, please, don't banish us from the nations. You know, don't get rid of us from the country. So that's our body. You can't get rid of the body. You can't get rid of the lower mind, but you can damn sure take it and give it a bath. That's the whole idea. Is to train the mind. That's yours, not someone else's. You ain't running crazy no more. That's your damn mind. And now it'll do what you say to do. It does. That's how it works. So Jesus would wind up being seen later on, sitting out, and this guy's now got clothes on, and that's really good, and sitting calm, and so thankful, you know. But he's running around out in the woods and stuff like that, cutting himself, hurting himself in some way, bringing some kind of self-penance to himself, so that he could appeal for the Lord. Listen, this is all the synagogue of Satan. All the earth is full of dead people. And you'll find the only thing that makes you a dead person is the half-mind business. That's it. Being half a minded motherfucker out here is what it means to be an unclean spirit. It doesn't matter whether you believe this shit or not. I have no care. I'm just a messenger about this business. But when it comes down to actually dying on this earth, it dust goes to dust, and the spiritual or your other thing goes right back into line, right back into the line to be born here on earth, you know, to go through it all over again. Now, I don't know what happens to us when we finally make it on this other side. It says we get to live forever and ever and ever. So does that mean that we don't have to come back to earth anymore? Or does this mean that we are born with our memories this time and connected to God, so that we grow up constantly connected to God for the rest of our lives that we live on this planet? Well, it remains to be seen, because no one's told us. No one's come back from the dead and told us this shit, you know, and I haven't found it yet in the Bible. All right? I'm searching. I'm trying to find out what I'm supposed to do. The best course of action is. But you'll find that these stories are still talking about the mind, and that if you don't clean it up, you know, the law of the land is to clean it all up and make things beautiful, both inside and outside. That you would find that this matches all the other spiritual texts in the world that deal with cleaning the inside of the vessel. All right. But, you know, we also understand that all these religions are basically a surface thing. So all the things are landing on our surfaces to give us the route, the workings, the business of religion, right? And remember, the business, when someone is giving you the business, that usually means that they're hood swinking you in some way. And that ain't no shit, you know. We know that religion's going to push us in a different direction than God would. But then we come find out that it was all part of the plan. So God's on both sides of this. He is causing us trouble, and then and then at the end he says, "Oh, you know, it's like, you know, welcome home," you know, and we're like, I wish you could have just told me, you know, but would we listen? No, I think he's got it already figured out. But at the same time, you know, this idea of giving it up to us, leaving our own work to our own devices, to our own choices, and not even, I have to tell people, did you know that you chose religion over God? And that means that makes you a blasphemer? I didn't know that. Of course didn't know that. But it's the truth. And that's really hard to get people over that spot. So do you know that this is taking you off the, this is creating the blind, leading the blind. He's got it all set. It's all, he makes you, they already know exactly how you're going to do them, how exactly and where the cliffs are, the cliffs, that is, that these people are going to push over on you. They already know that that the religious people on this earth are going to amount massive amounts of money, that it's going to cause corruption, it's going to cause more hell, and this is your works. To be able to cut through all this garbage. And cut through is what they do. They want to cut off this lower side of your mind. Cut it off. It doesn't get rid of it so much as it, sterilizes it for you, but it, it's still all here. Everything is still here. The trouble didn't reside on those believers, because the true Jew knows better than all of that, and is still going to get caught up in whatever happens here on earth, no matter what. We are not exempt from that, but how we go about believing in it, thinking about it, or fearing it, more along the lines of being given knowledge and understanding, causes us to lose our fear. That's pretty cool shit. All right, but this. I want to monitor you down for just a second. I want to read some of these things here. He says in Job 17, 13 through 16. If I look for Sheol to be my home, I make my bed in the darkness. If I call to the pit, you are my father. To the worm, my mother, my sister. Where now is my hope? And who regards my hope? So this idea of living on earth and it being hell, you'll see that this idea of, without his mother and his sister, where's my hope? Where's it gonna be? But this is the way we're laid down here on earth. It has to be done this way first. Let's see here. Therefore Sheol has enlarged its throat. Therefore the hell has enlarged its throat. This is the way they speak of earth. She has enlarged her throat and opened her mouth without measure. And Jerusalem's splendor, her multitude, her den of rivalry, and the jubilant within her descend into it. This is Isaiah 5:14. So it's encompassing, all right? The whole world is absorbed into this Sheol. Here's the way out. Here's Psalm 49, number 14. Psalm 49, 14. As sheep they are appointed for Sheol. That means we are given to Satan for some reason or another. We're appointed for Sheol. Death shall be their shepherd. This is when we go into meditation and let our child free. All right, that's our death shall be our shepherd. And the upright shall rule them in the morning, and their form shall be Sheol to consume, so that they have no habitation. And the body is then we'll say, metaphorically speaking, is burnt, right? It's sacrificed. So there's no place for this devil to inhabit us. All right. And let's see. The wicked will return to Sheol, even the nations who forget God. Nations are you. You are the kingdoms and all this. Everyone who forgets about God, they got to come back down to Sheol. Here's another one of those swallowed up things. But if the Lord brings about an entirely new thing, and the ground opens up its mouth and swallows them up with all that is theirs, and they descend alive. They descend alive to Sheol. Then you will understand that these men have spurned the Lord. That's when you come up dead someplace. When you come up dead and you're not accounted for, there's no end of times for you. There's no justification or anything like that, or being what's that word that we would call judged, when you're not being judged. You have to come right back down here again. There was no God in you found. That death come deceitfully upon them. Here's one, Psalm 55:15. Let death come deceitfully upon them. Let them go down alive to Sheol. For evil is in their dwelling and in their midst. So you're coming down here dead. Because he did not kill the breeder. Because we have said we have made a covenant with death. This is Isaiah 28:15. Because we've made a covenant with death and with Sheol. We have made a pact with the overwhelming scourge. That the overwhelming scourge will not reach us when it passes by. That we have made falsehood our refuge, and we have concealed ourselves with deception. We have made falsehood our refuge. I know this very well. We wear this Bible and religion like it was a shield, and that God will save us. When he comes, he'll take care of you. This is this idea of we're putting we're putting our very souls and sometimes our lives, our minds, into the hands. This idea of tossing your silver out into the street. There's no help for us. There's no help from people or any one of us that look for this help outside of ourselves. It's just not going to work. Jesus is going to save me and stuff like that, so you cower and you sit still, and he's going to say, he's not. There is only one way out, and you have to do it. It's one of those stories where here's Proverbs 30:16. Sheol and the barren womb. Let me tell you, when you cannot birth the messenger, and the female side of you is not able to have this messenger and create the 3-in-1 business, you and Sheol and the barren womb are like two birds in a cow's tail. And then it goes on to talk about earth that is never satisfied with water, and fire that never says enough. So this is earth. This is our hell. And the idea of being thirsty is that you'll never get the truth, and you'll always be, this idea of the fire and the gnashing of the teeth. All this is a situation where you'll never be comforted by going to this outside world. We know that about mankind. And let's only do a couple more. All right. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold of Sheol. This is what happens when we take a drink or something from the bitch. We die Anytime we're following the lower mind, we die. Let's see if we got any more on here that I could do. There's a whole mess load of them. My spirit is broken. My days are extinguished. The grave is ready for me. This is Job 17:1. The spirit is broken. So this idea of our brain being split in half, the spiritual side, gone, not working, broken. All right. The days have been experienced. The grave is for me. Carried from the womb to the tomb. So it means as soon as you are born, you are taken to the tomb. That's what happens when you you live this outside world. So act according to your wisdom and do not let this gray hair go down in Sheol in peace. All right. All right, you guys. I think today's class is about done. But what you're supposed to understand is this idea that while we are down on this lower end and we're working with the lower conscious mind, Father, then it's representing what is considered hell. And depending on where you are in hell, whether you're really super rich, got all kinds of influence and stuff like that, you may be above a lot of this garbage. But, if you're on the lower end of hell, there's a lot of work to be done down here. And nothing gets done by itself. That's where comes that you become that slave, getting all these burdens on the back, and then you have all these other troubles of your own to deal with and stuff. But you'll find that, the formula for it is that, fetters and chains, the chains were plucked asunder by himself. The fetters broken in pieces, and no one contained him. I don't know why I went through all of that. Came from the number 4 with the unclean spirit. And it just was talking about his world, that, when it comes down to it, the mind is actually being what's chained, and our emotions are being manipulated. Our body is being lied to, and we're just not going to be getting any comfort from this lower mind. So the idea is to cut yourself off from this lower side, and as soon as possible, and learn the spiritual side of our Bible, and you'll break yourself out of hell. But just remember, there's no other place to go, So, so you might not have any hell in you, which is just really good, We're supposed to, all our trips and all our lives, consume as much of this crap as we possibly can. And that way, whenever we finally go up and get clean, the mother has her job to do. And you have done it. You have done your best to ground up as much garbage as you possibly could imagine into yourself, so that it can be clean, taken over to the curb by your mama. All right, so I'll chat with you soon. I hope you got something out of this. All right, love you.